back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live for the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism. What is the power of liberation? We thank you for watching us on the TheExceptionalConservativeShow.com, as we are the best in urban conservative news, talk, and movies. This particular segment of our programming will actually appear on the YouTube channels that we have for TECN TV, and as well the Exceptional Conservative Network. We have with us tonight a true gentleman and scholar in his own right, a mathematician who knows how to add up when the Democrats score the actual budget, which basically means we're always in debt. He's none other than Raul Reyes Jr. with us tonight. He's running in the 23rd Congressional District of Texas in a primary race against an establishment opponent. I want to talk with you tonight, Raul, about the GOP. And now I am a conservative who happens to vote Republican. But it seems that the GOP is a miss when it comes to inviting others outside of Texas and other states to promote the establishment viewpoint on how things should go versus the grassroots conservative viewpoint. And I want to get your take on the whole idea of Karl Rove endorsing your opponent for the upcoming primary.
Yep. So that's kind of a key thing here. I've never seen Karl Rove, of course, Kevin McCarthy, Steve Scalise. They're all piling on, and you have to ask yourself, why is that happening? And the short answer is, they want to get their guy in because they can control him. And it's really just down to, you either want representation that the establishment gets a lot of money, and then they run these folks through, they make them look conservative. It doesn't really matter what they think. When they get to DC, somebody's bought their lunch, and so they've got to do what they say. For us, I'm actually exercising, what my government teacher said in 12th grade, and that is that you can run for office and represent the folks that are in your district. And so we've got no PAC money, and we're trying to get after it and win this race. Karl Rove, he gets paid to put an R in every district. And here in Texas, we're trying to save Texas and the nation, and it starts right here in CD-23. To do that, you're going to have to connect with a large voting bloc that usually goes with Democrats. And the disconnect is between a guy like Karl Rove and a guy like myself, who's from the barrio, who's from here, retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel. I've got my own business. People trust me. People know me. Not my opponent. He's not from here. He's doing that thing that they did with, if you remember the Justice Democrats, they ran 30 people in 2018. 13 made it into the primary. 3 of them won, Omar Tlaib and, of course, AOC. And it's the same methodology that the Democrats use that Republicans and the establishment side use. So it doesn't matter what my opponent thinks or believes. He's got to do what they tell him to do. If you're tired of that, and we need to go back to some real representation, and maybe we'll start not spending all the future generations' money, and maybe we'll start to actually get back to doing the business of America, being first, and ending this globalism that has destroyed our economy, and beating the left back, because they're winning if we're not careful.
Exactly. Listen, Governor Perry and as well Governor Abbott currently have done a tremendous job of deregulating Texas and making it attractive as a tax base for businesses. You are, in fact, probably the only state in the past 2 administrations that have a plus side of employment hires increases. And so I want to ask you here in this regard, you have Houston, you have San Antonio, and you have Dallas, and they are moving to the left, and they are moving blue. And as such, because they are big urban centers, they are moving the state blue. How important is it for you to win as a grassroots organic leader just in your particular realm of the neighborhood?
Well, and obviously it's vital, and in there lies the disconnect with an establishment like and again, it's a tactic by which we lose the feel of the people we're trying to represent. We've gotten into the business of just electing R's and D's, and we've forgotten to actually represent Main Street. You know, a normal, the plumber, the electrician, the truck driver, the construction guy, and yeah, you know, the banker and everybody else. And so big money tends to win these things because it's got a lot of money, and but it disconnects with urban and suburban areas. And this is why San Antonio, Dallas, there are a lot of conservatives in these big cities, but they've given up on the political realm or environment and they just stopped to vote. Real quick, I'll give you 2014. Will Hurd had 112,000 votes to 102,000 on the Democrat side. In 2016, he drops to 108,000 to 102,000. And then in 2018, he almost loses it at 103,000 to 102,000. But he lost his base because he lost his way. The Democrats in this district are at about 102,000 normal base. We can succumb that, but the problem is we can't allow the congressman to go to D.C. and get washed over and become more left, left, left. And so, as long as you hold your conservative values here in places like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, we can win the country. But the GOP is going to have to learn to connect to Main Street because it hasn't done that very well.
You say connect to Main Street, and there are guys who come on my show on a regular basis, and they say that they're knocking on doors and they're trying to get out and talk to people. Uh, but what message resonates to those who happen to vote Democrat but are unsettled with a Bernie Sanders uh, mentality for the Democrat Party anew?
Yeah, so there's a large Democrat, previously voting Democrat bloc that it's looking for a home, and it's not necessarily the Republican Party. What it is the Trump Republican Party because it has jobs, had a booming economy before coronavirus, and they absolutely love that it's America first. The problem is we haven't been able to reach to those folks because we keep running folks like my opponent who has no connection to the district whatsoever. And you don't have to be a part of this district, but you got to go out to 29 counties. You got to go to places like Mentone, Texas, that only has Loving County has 167 residents, and you've got to talk to all those folks.
Yeah.
Everything in this district matters, and so the GOP is going to have to learn to connect to those folks. It doesn't do that very well, and it upsets the core base here when they look at their native son from Del Rio, Texas, and you're running an outsider. It's not going to win you any points in places like Uvalde, Eagle Pass, or Del Rio that are staunchly Democrat if you keep doing that.
Immigration and the border. My executive producer, Bonnie Williams, oh my God, she talks to me almost 24/7 about illegal migration, illegal migration. We got to stop them coming in. Isn't that a problem from you running in that as a man of a Spanish background?
No, not at all. In this district, you know, Hispanic, Black, American, doesn't matter. And its preponderance, it's largely Hispanic. It's 72%. We want safe neighborhoods. We want drug-free schools. We want the cartel out of our communities. And to do that, we've got to secure this border and build that wall. And but we've got to be able to explain ourselves when it comes to all that. If you're running an establishment candidate that doesn't understand all that, it's not going to happen. And so, no, I'd like to believe, and I know for a fact that I'm normal. You talk to all my friends; they're conservative. The
Yeah.
problem is nobody knows that, and you get a guy like Will Hurd who thinks he has to triangulate his vote, which means he would vote Democrat and then he would vote, Republican. And I think it's just an excuse. We're not 50-50 here, folks. We're conservative. We just haven't brought over the voting bloc that thinks it's still the Kennedy Democrat Party, and it's not.
Exactly. Now, one of the major issues that you have is regarding our national sovereignty and the well being of the states in general. And yet, we are up against a time period where you have a president who really has to berate governors and mayors over the phone a morning after the city of Washington is burning. I mean, we haven't burnt like this since 1968. So I have to ask you here, what is it that's wrong with America that urban America is burning and there's nothing to do to stop it? with the governors and with the mayors?
Well, some of it is just some basic leadership skills. Remember, if you keep running folks like my opponent, they kind of grow up in the system and they don't know really how to take hold of circumstances. You know, we've been tried and true in all kinds of places in the world. In my military background as a businessman, I've dealt with a whole lot of folks, and some of these people are just professional politicians. So this is why you see a guy like Donald Trump. It becomes normal to him to look at the governors that are probably professional politicians. They've done nothing. I mean, you just have to look at Joe Biden. I don't think he's held a real job in a long ever actually.
Ever.
And so the point being is when they get presented with real world circumstances like Hillary Clinton did with Benghazi or Obama did, they fail. And so we've got to stop putting these folks in and start looking at the non-establishment candidates that have been, tossed around in the school of hard knocks. And guess what? You'll actually get some progress when we get to DC. We'll do things like it's supposed to be done. And when things arise that are dangerous to the security of the people of this nation, we will rise, look very much like Donald Trump has to the occasion, and has to actually look at certain governors and tell them how to do things because they've been doing nothing but politics, and we've got to stop doing that in this country.
Exactly. Now, the state of Maryland has notified the President of the United States that they want National Guard in Baltimore City tonight and for the rest of the week. And in fact, the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia has said no, they don't want the National Guard, even though in Richmond there are cases where the police and the firefighters are being encumbered against doing their civic duties just outside of the protests themselves. So I have to ask you here, in terms of being a former military officer, would you want the military to come into cities like Dallas and Houston and San Antonio if there is continued blazing and rioting?
Well, I'm with you as far as, I believe in the 10th Amendment, and every state's got a sovereign right to take care of its citizens the way they want. And if they've got to call the guard in to do that, then, that's what has to happen. It's already happened in certain places. And but as far as the military, remember, this is where you get into this very touchy situation where, you've got federal military units coming into the state, and we've got to be very careful with that. I'm going to always render back to the states the sovereign right to do what they need to take care of. And this is the consequences of an election. If you've got some kind of bonehead governor somewhere
Yes.
who doesn't know how to take care of their people, then we need to elect that guy out. And God bless Donald Trump for trying to at least bully pulpit things around. But we've got to be very careful when federal military roll in. That is, that you're getting to some very constitutional sovereign rights between states and federal government. And so, yeah, initiate National Guard where they need to, and at the state level. But we got to be careful with military rolling in anywhere.
Exactly. Because a lot of this is all about public relations between now and November. Unfortunately, it's not about public safety. You got to ask you also in regards to Joe Biden, former Vice President of the United States of America, who stated that the number one issue to deal with is a three-letter word: jobs, JOBS. So I got to ask you here, how important are jobs in the 23rd Congressional District? What are you going to do here in Washington, D.C. to make it easier for economic development to take place in the 23rd Congressional District? Something that Will Hurd had the opportunity to do, but no results.
Yeah, I've got a little scar tissue from that, from growing up in a place called Del Rio, Texas. We used to have a company named Levi Strauss, and one day they shut down the entire factory. I don't know, 500 men and women lost their jobs, pensions, the whole nine yards, and they went to, I think, Thailand and never came back. Same thing happened in El Paso. Wrangler, Levi was there, and so for me, I've always known that securing the border and jobs are critical to this district. If the constituents of this district send me to DC, there will be no wall, no door that I won't knock down to try and get manufacturing and industry back. And we have the right president in the White House. He is touting protecting steel. Remember, we were doing cheap steel with China, and the Rust Belt is sort
Yep.
of coming back to life. And now we got to solve the oil and gas industry as well. We got to protect those. We're the number one oil producer in the world. We don't need to let the Saudis or the Russians, you know, belittle the price per barrel to the point where we're all out of work. And of course, we've got to stop making national security items in places like China. They need to be made here. Technology, pharmaceuticals, anything we can manufacture in this district. I'm going to knock on every door to make sure it happens. If you're an outsider, an establishment guy that's going to work for a guy named Kevin McCarthy or Karl Rove, we don't need you in this district. We've got business to take care of. We've got to turn the Titanic around. It's not going to happen overnight, but you need to send a guy like me there to make it happen.
Exactly. Now, some people don't get my joke, and you get my joke, Lieutenant Colonel, that Joe Biden once said that jobs was a three-letter word in a speech
Yeah.
to Democrats. So, for those of you following along home thinking that I need to get my GED, it's just a joke. Want to ask you a finality here. Our nation is in crisis, and you're right. There are very few leaders and statesmen in Washington, D.C. What is it that you want to tell the good people of Texas and also the nation regarding yourself and running for office, but what the hopes and aspirations you have for this nation after coronavirus, after the riots, after the elections in November?
Yeah. So I'm one of those folks that, I heard the call. And what I would tell folks is if good people stand by and watch evil happen, it's just as bad. And so I've decided to throw my entire life on hold to run this campaign for the citizens of District 23. As goes Texas, goes the nation, and I believe as goes District 23, goes Texas. So somebody here had to go tackle Will Hurd. We did that, and a lot of. By the way, I give all the credit to the constituents of CD-23. They had had enough of him. I was just one of those folks who acted on that, and look, America is the same way across. You just got to look at California. They just voted in a Republican, Mike Garcia, out there. Hasn't happened in a while, and slowly but surely we're finally realizing that you cannot be a part of the socialist liberal policies of Pelosi, Biden, and Schumer. We have got to get away from that. The nation is in trouble. We're in debt. We sold out our children's future, and it's time to get it back. It's going to take guys like myself and anybody out there that hears the call. Do it. There is no rhyme or reason why you can't, but we've got to save the nation, and we've got to do it pretty quick.
You gave a 5-point pledge on your site, and I'm going to tell everybody that you need to go to his pledge. I just find you wholesome and just the right individual. It's amazing to have come upon you in this particular election season. Um, Raul Reyes for Congress 2020, Republican District 23 out of the great state of Texas. Great republic to some of us who still love the place. But if there's something that you would want Americans to do for you tonight, what would that be?
Well, I always tell folks there's a couple of things that I always ask, and they come in this order. Please definitely pray for Raul Reyes for Congress in the campaign in CD23. Prayer is going to get us there. I really believe that. Two, of course, if you're in the district, volunteer, help us out. We can always use that. And then, of course, I'm always asking for donations. If you're in DC and you hear us and you're tired of this, overwhelming methodology where we're just electing R's and D's, please help us out. Hit the donate button on RaulReyesForCongress.com. Look us up on our Facebook page. It's also Raul Reyes for Congress. And what you're going to see is that we've done town hall after town hall. I've stood in front of thousands of people, one at a time, 100 at a time. And I'm an open book because ask me any question. We're here to help Donald Trump make America great again. It starts in CD23. We need border security and we need jobs.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Finally hearing it from somebody who understands what America really needs. Listen, Raul Reyes is running in the 23rd Congressional District of Texas. I'm going to tell you tonight that I'm endorsing him for this primary run. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you. Listen, $1, $5, $10, wherever you are in the U.S. of A. Every little bit counts. He's going up against Kevin McCarthy and Karl Rove, the two Ks.
Yep.
Uh, he can't do this alone, ladies and gentlemen. He needs your help. He needs your support. Prayers, yes, but also support him in every other capacity. Congratulations to you, sir, on your campaign. We look forward to you coming back in a few weeks because I do want to talk with you about health care and a few other issues. Raul Reyes, ladies and gentlemen, running for the 23rd Congressional District. Ladies
God
and
bless you.
gentlemen,
Thank you.
God bless you as well. Listen, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to come back from the break and we're going to give you more of the best in urban conservative talk. Yes, it is the Exceptional Conservative Show. We are the best in urban conservative news, talk, and movies. There are no movies this weekend. Okay, I have to give Bonnie Williams a break. She's tired of me. I got to give her a vacation for a moment, but she'll be back next week. We'll get new movies. But actually, come back to us. We'll be back, and I want to talk with you about the reasonable doubt in the George Floyd case. Why America needs to be prepared for future riots. We'll be right back with more of the best right after this.